Hello, I am Dr. Jennifer Tanner. I am the founder of Run Well and the Runner Summit for Health and Performance. So have you ever, if you've been following us, you know that we've been talking about like doing some cross training, doing some other activities besides just running to prevent those repetitive injuries and whatnot. But sometimes people are like, okay, I'm going to go to the gym, but then they get there and they're like, oh, now what do I do? I don't know. I don't know what to do. So today we have got with us a guest who is a beast in the gym. This guy is one of the only trainers who was able to get some definition when I personally saw him years back. So listen carefully. He is well decorated in the realm of certificates. He has strength training and conditioning from the Poliquin Group. He's the National Trainer of the Year and Excellence in Education Awards at the Good Life Clubs of Canada. You can see in the background there that Mike Demeter is an avid reader, and look at all those books that are there. He has a wealth of knowledge.
Oh no.
So welcome, Mike. It's a pleasure to have you today.
Great to be here, Jen. Hope I can help.
Absolutely. So let's use an example here. So we've got an avid runner. They're walking into the gym. They want to step up their game. They want to be faster. They don't want to be in pain. They want to avoid injuries, and they just want to build their resiliency. What might you be doing with them?
Wow, that's a huge screen. So I think it's always a matter of working backwards from a needs hierarchy.
Okay.
And some people come to you and it's all about the injuries or the repetitive strains you were, mentioning. So we're starting out of the gates with more a rehab approach.
Okay.
And then others, are proactive and they're saying, look, here's my goal and I don't want to hurt. What can be done in advance? And honestly, I think it really boils down always to a team effort.
Yeah.
As a trainer, I can screen for movement patterns and see if something is imbalanced, but I call in everyone. I would use someone like yourself and say, give me a snapshot of their physiology. Like, what's going on here, whether it's an issue of chronic low-grade inflammation or I mean, that everything's rooted in gut health and sleep quality and yada yada.
Yeah.
I may go to I love osteopaths for a pre-screen. To me,
Okay.
I typically use chiropractic and physiotherapy as an after measure. So they've come and shown up with a problem. Let's get site specific around whatever joint or movement is hurting.
Yeah.
But the osteopaths, I find they're kind of like the druids of the modern age, and they're looking at the whole body. I had one fix my left shoulder by moving my liver. You know what I mean?
If you haven't seen it, it sounds unusual, but if I can see a bunch of people out there probably nodding, going, "Oh yeah, mine did that to me too," right?
No, and it's that not tending to the tree, but tending to the health of the forest approach. Using the osteopaths. But so all that said, let's say they just come to me and say, "Hey, I want to run. I want to run faster, further, and be pain-free."
Okay.
It seems ironic, but I will train a strength athlete the same as an endurance athlete. So follow me here.
Okay.
If people come in and start doing the typical 3 sets of 12, 4 sets of 15, whatever, we're starting to get into hypertrophy or muscle growth. And while a lot of athletes, will benefit from added muscle, the endurance athlete, it now becomes excess baggage. It's more to carry. You very rarely see a linebacker go for a marathon, right?
Okay. Yeah. Not the most common physique, but you see all types out there.
Tissue, but with long rests in between. This is the type of training that you do with an athlete that wants to stay in their weight class.
Okay.
I did a lot of work for years with the judokai, so judo athletes. And the last thing they want to do is climb a weight division because now they're against bigger guys, right?
Yeah.
So we would train in this heavy range, and I would suit the range of motion of the exercise to the activity being done. So in the case of a runner, I can argue the benefits of full squats and that, but for their performance, I would do quarter squats, the top half of a leg press, things that are going to give them a high level of strength in the range of motion that matters to them.
Yeah.
So how does that sound for the training, like out of the gates approach?
No, I like that. And I don't feel like many people are talking about. I mean, they'll end up doing quarter squats and stuff to kind of push your limits in the end, but I don't see them doing it a lot as the actual movement.
Right.
So as I was saying, I think the goal of a program for a runner when it comes to resistance training is to add strength, tensile strength, or strength in the connective tissue without adding extra muscle mass, because that becomes a burden to the distance runner. And I'm assuming distance is the goal here. I'm not, working with a sprinter. So that said, it's the same training regime. It's the typical sets of 3 to 5 reps, long rest periods to improve the innervation, adaptation of the muscle. I would want to see them in the gym a good 3 times per week, whole body workouts. There's not a lot of upper body work, but for stability through the posterior chain or the posture column, and a bit of rotator cuff, because the arm swing can sometimes lend to a low grade shoulder ache or pain. But otherwise, it's really a lot of lower body work, and it depends on the regime for the running. Flat runners, it tends to be a little quad dominant. For those that go up and down hills and the such, there's a stronger hamstring contribution, so more posterior chain work. Both definitely get lots of calf work. What else can I tell you here?
So would you have
lead me.
You mentioned 3 times a week. Would you have them come the same that they're running or alternate?
Same routine 3 times a week, because we need a frequency of the same stimulus to adapt. The same way they would run, typically the same route, at least 3 times a week, because the body has to understand what you're asking of it.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's funny. I look at the hockey players that they're finally stopping distance running and practicing more sprinting, because they've understood that that's the nature of their time on the ice. Well, the same thing now, runners used to carb load a lot. Spaghetti on toast was, the go-to. But when you're doing low intensity, long duration training, it's really fat that is your primary driving fuel. So I actually advocate, a higher fat diet with just, a nominal amount of carbohydrates and enough protein to support us in terms of tissue breakdown, be it from the gym or from the running. As supplement-wise goes, I really want to control inflammation. And, I'm starting to go into your realm here, but I'll reach for everything from the glucosamine, chondroitin, MSM, so anything that supports collagen health. I like collagen protein for the same reason. There's a lot of wear and tear. Facet joints of the spine, the hip socket, the knee joint, all these are driven hard. So the collagen protein itself is proven very effective in terms of rebuilding and saving the cartilage in the joints. I do like curcumin. It's showing itself time and again, sort of very upstream, almost like a COX-2 inhibitor. So the runners that are hooked on Vioxx and Celebrex, it's a chance for them to go clean again and use a more natural modality. Your omega-3s, a big fan of omega-3s, but not in excess. The body hates anything taken out of homeostasis or anything taken to extreme. So it's just prevalent in the diet. If they have a taste for sushi or oily fish, all the better.
That's a good one.
I like magnesium on many, many levels. really it's one of those, what doesn't magnesium do? But that said, the Epsom salt bath, uh, the body has a wisdom. And when you use an Epsom salt bath or transdermal magnesiums, it will only absorb what it needs.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you have to, play gently with the different chelates of magnesium orally, because the wrong one, like a cheap magnesium oxide, you're just running to the bathroom. You're not running for distance.
Yeah, you don't want that on a wall
Right?
for sure. There's
Oh,
always
no.
for the outhouse situation.
I like the glycinate and citrate and uh, a little cardioprotective measure, especially if you're running in the city. So like a magnesium orotate.
Okay.
Well, it's a case for antioxidants. You just don't want to overdo the antioxidant. Again, we need the ability to use oxidation to fuel muscle contraction and our activities. So excesses again of anything, including the antioxidants, could actually harm us a little bit. Again, here's where I'm going to count on screening by a practitioner to give me a hierarchy needs list. So if we put you off to the osteo or the even I mean for that matter a chiro or physio, because they're licensed to put hands on and put you on the table and test every range of motion. So we work backwards from that. Clearly, for a lot of runners, it's Achilles issues first. So but what we want to do in the gym setting is take advantage of the control it affords. So if I'm going to do a traditional calf stretch, I'm actually going to purposely make them do the stretch incorrectly. And what I mean by that is toes in, toes out, almost mimicking a soft roll on the ankle, because I don't want to overwhelm the joint, but I want it ready should the runner encounter that hole in the ground, the divot, in the yard, whatever they're going to come across. So they've had some taking through these different ranges. And then as I work my way up, hyperextension of the knee can be a big issue. So anything around the popliteus, that sort of small teabag shaped muscle behind the knee.
Okay.
So that would be a straight-legged hamstring stretch, ideally with the body in a lordosis or an arched back, because that's going to direct the stretch behind the knee. When you see runners cave in their back and sort of roll the shoulders down, it takes the stretch away from the back of the knee and loads it more into the low back area, which won't be challenged as much in the runner as, typically behind the knee. I like any sort of rotational work, lying on the mat, dropping the knees side to side, rotation work where reaching, as the body rotates one side, other side. What else would I do? Sort of a cross-body toe touch. It's, I guess what I'm getting at here is as many angles as I can come up with in a controlled setting, I want you to do in the gym. Now that said, never, never, never pass the held stretches before your resistance training. That removes the elasticity from the soft tissue. It's almost like you get a bow and arrow and you were to pull the bow and hold it for an hour. When you finally let it go, the string is so flaccid, it's useless. So the same thing happens if I was to do a held hamstring stretch, 30 to 60 seconds, and then have you go do heavy partial squats. We've increased the risk factor. We've not made it better. So prior to resistance, sorry, here we go. You still got me? Here.
Yep.
Prior to resistance training, I would sort of explosive or stretches with movement. So we're promoting the elasticity. Put the hand out in front and do some high leg kicks. Swing the legs side to side, back, forth. I worry about runners that do that held quad stretch or a held calf stretch before they run, because the more you dissipate that elasticity, the more is going into the connective tissue or, worse, so that comes after your run, after your workout regime. That's when we do the held stuff, and then by all means move some tissue work, foam rolling, and yada yada. Go tap
Yeah.
massage.
Okay, so do some of the active movement first, go for your run, then do the hold stretch. Don't do it before.
Correct.
Okay, great. Now, one of the things I'm passionate about, one of my missions is to bring movement back to medicine. So people like yourself are actively doing that in the gym with people. Um, and I'm also super passionate about just keeping it positive. Well, on that note, I am going to say thanks so much for being on. I think there's a couple takeaways from us that, the strength training versus endurance, there doesn't have to be that bulky load that we want to really support those connective tissues. Make sure you're being screened properly. Mike's a big advocate of the osteos doing a pre-screen, looking at, where's you have a top-down dysfunction, bottom-up kind of thing. You're doing your 3 to 5 typical reps 3 times per week, people, not just once per week. And never do your stretching first. Do the stretching last.